Hi everybody, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode number 65. Today we are going to be talking about ALF, we're going to be talking about amulets, charms and talismans, and we're going to be talking about the mind and magic and the mechanics of magic. So grab a cup of tea, put your incense on, get comfy, and we'll jump into the Witching Week. Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here. Imbolc blessings for yesterday, still counts, still celebrate today, no problem at all with that. How was your day? I hope you had a really good one. And if you're with us for the first time today, you've never seen an episode of the Witching Week before, welcome. Every Friday we get together for a cup of tea and a bit of a chinwag about the seasons, the wheel of the year, the weather, news from last week, what's coming up in the next week, and yeah, just pagan and witchy topics really. So if you are new, then welcome. If you've been here before or you've been here since the beginning, then thank you for watching, welcome back. And yeah, let's get started with the Witching Week. So I am drinking some hot chocolate today. I've actually got this hot chocolate from Lidl and it's really nice. It's called Bellarom Hot Chocolate Instant, and I would say it's as good as the Cadbury's and doesn't need so much powder. So I've been enjoying that. That's been a little bit of a treat for me. And I am burning some Lucky Agar Batti Natural Kuda Flowers fragrance. So a proper Indian incense, this one. It's really nice. I picked it up in Glastonbury and at £1.20, not a bad price at all. So yeah, that's the vibe we're going for today. We're going for Indian, kicked back, relaxed, chilled, end of a busy week type of fragrance and aroma and yeah, atmosphere. So it has been a really busy week. I started my first week at Ancient Earth this week, Ancient Earth clothing, which I've absolutely loved, but it did mean that I was busy on Imbolc and I've been busy all week with other projects as well. So yeah, I've not stopped. And yeah, on Tuesday, because of my heart, I had to go out and about and do something, and I honestly felt like I was going to die, and that is no exaggeration. As you all know, I've got a little heart monitor at the moment and there is an issue. So yeah, I haven't been whinging all this time. There is genuinely a problem, and I'll go into that more when I know more. So I didn't do a special Imbolc dinner yesterday. What about you guys? Did you do anything special to celebrate? Did you just get caught up in everyday life like we did? We've been fasting as well. So as it happens, last night was a fasting night, so we didn't have any dinner. I had something about 3 o'clock, and the previous time that I'd eaten before that was like dinner the previous day. So I had just a selection of small healthy things at 3 o'clock, but we forewent an actual proper dinner. So we might do something special tonight, a day after, not too late at all. And I want to talk about that as well. I often get comments from people saying they wanted to do this to celebrate a particular festival, but something went wrong or they couldn't get what they needed and therefore they wouldn't be doing it. So the example I'm thinking of, I was having a chat with someone this week. Hello, I know you'll be watching, and quite often we have these conversations, and this person said they wanted to get some reeds ahead of Imbolc so that on Imbolc they could create like a Bridget's cross, do some sort of weaving, create something to honour and mark Imbolc, and they didn't get a chance. And to me, that doesn't matter. You've had the thought, you've had the intention, so what you would do is you would make that happen this year, ready for next year. So perhaps in the summer could gather some sort of grain, some wheat or something like that. Before people jump on me and say that's not right, that's stealing, I do believe, I don't know if this law is still in place though, but I do believe there has always been something in place that says a tiny percentage of a farmer's field is actually there for the common everyday folk use, so that for events like Lunasa, Imbolc, it can be marked with, you know, some corn dollies and things like that. I don't know how true that is. I don't think it will hurt if you take a few stalks from the edge of someone's field. Obviously, if the whole country's doing it en masse, then that would become a problem and that wouldn't be fair at all. But I think there is such a small pagan population in relation to the amount of crop fields that there are. And also, yeah, a lot of the time we don't get around to doing these things. Some of the time we get gifted this stuff as well. I've actually been gifted a load of, I don't actually know what it was, I think it's wheat. I've been gifted stuff before in the past. So, but anyway, the point I'm actually making here, I'm not encouraging you to go out and steal because I don't agree with that. But what I'm saying is, if you don't manage to do something at one time, don't worry. You've made that thought, you've planned to do that. Carry that through the year, get yourself organised so that when it next rolls around, you are then able to do it. And then that way, slowly, you will fill your calendar up, you will fill the wheel of the year up, and you'll have something for each time. So, you know, and then once you make that corn dolly or that bridges cross or whatever, you've then got it for following years to celebrate. So don't, you know, please don't give yourself a hard time. We talk about this all the time on the Witching Week. Part of these celebrations, you know, these celebrations happen within our lives, and our lives are busy things with children and work. You know, I myself didn't mark Imbolc this year in any particular way other than writing about it for work. So yeah, it's really important that you don't give yourself a hard time. This is not supposed to be a chore. This is not supposed to be something that adds more pressure or adds more stress or makes you feel bad. If you even stepped outside for 10 minutes and observed the land, what's going on around you, the trees, the birds, the plants, you know, you look at the sky, or maybe you got out in the evening and had a look at the Imbolc moon, you know, it all counts. It all counts as honouring and observing and celebrating. So I think that's really important. And also, there's nothing stopping you doing something the day after Imbolc or the following week. The landscape hasn't changed massively in just 1 week or in a few days, nor has life. You know, these are your practices, this is your path, this is your craft, it's yours to shape and to celebrate and honour and observe in the ways that you can surrounding the life that you have. Everybody's life looks very, very different. I suspect now I won't be quite so good at celebrating the festivals. Now I'm tied up with other things. I suppose for me, I'm very lucky in that my job and in the projects that I'm building behind, we will talk more about that in a few weeks, but it's witchcraft based and it's craft based. So I'm very lucky in that even if I don't get out and do something, I'm still thinking about it and writing about it and observing it and honouring it and studying it in that way anyway. So yeah, but you know, to actually get out and do something is physically going to be a lot harder for me when I'm at home working. So please don't give yourself a hard time. You know, in a roundabout way, we all celebrate these customs and traditions anyway. They've all sort of evolved over the years and become other things as well. So, you know, whether we like it or not, it's like Christmas. You know, that has moved on and changed and been other things over the years. So really, you are still immersing yourself in it. You're still on this planet. You're still alive on that particular day. So don't give yourselves a hard time. It's really, really important that you enjoy your lives. I mean, yes, it's great to make the effort and it's great to actually do something and say, this is me honouring, this is me celebrating, this is me doing something. It fits in the theme with what everyone else is doing, but it's not the be all and end all. And I am a hardcore pagan. I have lived and breathed and slept and eaten and drank witchcraft and paganism since the age of 16. Well, I discovered it before that age, as you well know, but until I got to sort of 16, 17, 18, I wasn't able really to put anything into practice. So I've been a pagan longer than I haven't. Yeah, or at least I've been aware that I've been a pagan for longer than I haven't, and I'm pretty hardcore. And you know, even I miss things. I don't get around to doing it. Life gets in the way, illness gets in the way, other plans with the kids gets in the way. you know, having to do everyday boring tasks gets in the way, work gets in the way. So again, I can't stress that enough. And I know we talk about this a lot, but I think it's really, really important. So what is next? Yeah, another little announcement for me to make. I have a new website coming soon. I've been working on it the past couple of weeks. The old one was a blogger that I had attached a domain to, and it was really, really clunky. It was a good source of information, but I was really finding the pressure of taking my posts from Instagram and putting them onto the website. Yes, it was like a great source of information, but at the same time, it was just so time consuming and it was just really clunky. I couldn't do much with it. I couldn't, you know, from a technological point of view, I couldn't do much with it. And so one night when my photos wouldn't load up properly, and from what I could tell, it wasn't just my old laptop, they also weren't loading up on my mobile or on my iPad, they weren't loading up on my husband's phone or computer. So I figured that maybe it just got to the end of its useful life and was just not really great for what I wanted. So now I've got a wonderful new website. You can't see it yet. It will be at the old address. It's coming soon and it will have lots of resources and services on it. Again, I'm not saying too much more at the moment because it's still very much, it's nearly there, but it's in the pipeline. But I have to say, you guys are getting all this news first. So the merch, I haven't even got out onto Instagram yet. So you guys are getting the updates first and foremost here on the Witching Week. So yes, when there is some more definite news, I will let you know. In the meantime, there's going to be lots of little teasers. But I think you guys that have been with me for a long time have probably worked out what's coming anyway. So, but yeah, more official announcements to come soon. So in my stories on Instagram this week, I had just taken a shot at the back of the car. I'd been out modelling some clothes for Ancient Earth, and there was a shot of ALF. So I don't know how many of you remember ALF, but this random picture of ALF seemed to, I don't know, breed a lot of excitement, and everyone was like, ALF! So I thought I would talk about ALF and why he lives in my car. So ALF is from a sort of like a comedic family series from the late 80s. So it ran from 1986 to 1990. And he crashed into the garage of the Tanner family. And his name, ALF, actually stands for alien life form. Not a lot of people know that, although when you learn that, it seems kind of obvious. And ALF absolutely loved eating cats. So very, very funny. We used to watch it as kids. I can't really remember much of it, so I'm going to be watching it soon. And basically, ALF lives in my car because the car that I drive belonged to my husband's father. So he unfortunately passed away in 2016 of cancer, of a brain tumour, and we were left the car to use, and it's currently the vehicle that I drive. So ALF has remained in the car. He used to be stuck to the window. He had some suckers on his feet as well, but I thought I would move him down into the seat next to me. And I very much feel that ALF protects me, just my husband's father protects me and keeps me safe. So in this way, he's kind of an amulet, really. I mean, I don't wear him, but he travels with me. So, and I don't travel very far, just little journeys, but that's the thing, isn't it? Most crashes and things like that happen close to home. So he just keeps me company on my travels. So I thought I would talk a little bit about amulets, charms and talismans and what the difference is, because many people get confused. So an amulet offers protection. A charm attracts good luck, generally, good fortune, and a talisman is something that it's representative of something, and it draws a particular benefit or power to something. So the way to describe that would be like if you had a bear's claw and you wore that around your neck, you might have that bear's claw because you want to draw the power or the strength, or perhaps the protection of the bear, because the bear is large, the bear is fierce, the bear will fight, and the bear is strong and has big claws and will protect you. So if you had, or a bear tooth might, you might wear for those very same qualities. So that is the difference. An amulet is something that offers protection. That could be worn, so it could be worn around the neck, it could be carried, it could be something that you have in your car. A charm attracts good luck, and many people consider things that they've found to be charms. So quite often that would be natural things. So you might find a really unusual looking stone on the beach and you decide, oh yeah, that's lucky, I'm going to keep that. That would be a charm. And then a talisman, it would be something that draws or attracts or brings a particular energy or trait or power or characteristic to you for some sort of goal. Then you get things that kind of have more than one use, or benefit. So I'm thinking of apotropaic magic here. So for example, a horseshoe is seen to sort of bring good luck if you hang it the right way, and that's a whole other conversation. Because I am a Raddle man. I live in the only part in the country that hangs their horseshoes upside down. So apotropaic magic, a horseshoe would attract good luck, but also is seen as a protective thing, protective symbol, protective item as well. And another apotropaic item on a similar vein is horse brasses. So they again are considered to draw good luck, good fortune. They're a good thing to have. But also they are generally hung on the chimney breast to protect a household. So apotropaic magic, they simultaneously do two things. I have other items that I carry as well, and I'm wondering what you guys have. I am sure that a lot of you will have either an amulet, a charm, or a talisman, or several, and I'd love to hear what you have. So you will have seen these before, probably in my videos, my Instagram videos, but we're gaining new followers all the time, which is brilliant. So I'm just going to show you what I keep on me. So in my purse, I have this little plastic soldier, and this was given to me the first time I met my husband on the first date, and he gave that to me to protect me, to carry with me. He was a soldier for 24 years. So I've carried this little plastic soldier in my purse for 11 years nearly now. What else do I have? I have an oak ghoul, which I absolutely love, represents the sort of the powers and the characteristics and the energies of the oak tree. So strength, and I think sort of tenaciousness, but it reminds me of home because I live somewhere that has the name oak in. So what else have I got? I've also got a little piece of fluorite, I think that is. My husband's got one, have a feeling he's lost his, but anyway, I've got that in my purse. And I've also got a little, I think it might be amethyst, I'm not entirely sure. I've got a little amethyst cat, but I only acquired that the other day. My husband bought that for me in a little shop we were in. So I carry those all the time in my purse. I've also got some photographs as well that I kind of like almost feel are protective. I've got this piece of paper, may your hands be as warm as your heart. This was tied to some lovely mittens, some sort of like Norwegian, Scandinavian super warm mittens that my husband bought me, and I've kept this ever since. That was from our first Christmas. So again, I've had this 11 Christmases. And I also have a picture of my daughter. I have a picture of my best friend's dad, who is no longer with us and hasn't been for a very, very long time. But my friend gave me this and said that he would protect me. So I've got a picture of him, and I've got, pictures of family and stuff. But I also have a picture of my granddad, who I've carried in my wallet for years now. I can't even remember how many years now. He's been gone about 15 years this year. So yeah, I guess I have lots of sort of like little protective things, or things that have been given to me by loved ones, that just sort of, I feel like improve my life or just lend me certain energies and certain sort of benefits. I also have somewhere, I'm just pulling apart my cooker, I also have, in my bag, I have a little green bag full of bits and bobs. I thought I got it out ready. Don't tell me I've lost it. Hang on a second. This is very unprofessional of me to not have it all ready. I thought I did. It's probably on the side here. Oh yeah, there it is. It's ready. Hang on a minute. I just can't see. This is actually a really, really dark room. So the light is coming in the big window and there's two others, but actually the surfaces and the rest of the room are actually quite dark because obviously it's Imbolc, it's February, and we just haven't got to that part of the year yet where the room is full of light. Even with lights, it's so dark in my house. Even with special sort of like proper lighting lights for making content, it's so dark. So I have a metal goddess that was given to me years ago by a friend, and on the back it says, "Life is a promise, fulfill it." And that has really resonated with me a lot recently. Obviously I've been very lucky in that some opportunities have come up, but it's having the guts and the bravery to go for it despite having quite an awful set of personal circumstances at the moment. I mean, obviously there's much of my life that is very, very good and I'm very grateful for, and I'm very lucky. Like, I have nothing to complain about, but there is stuff that stops me from doing things, and I don't tend to share that. I share obviously my health struggles, and really that's the biggest issue. So, but yeah, I've had this rattling around in my head for quite a long time now. Life is a promise, fulfill it. And I promised myself that I would try and do that. I would find a way. I also have a jade cat that, again, I've had for years now. I can't even remember when I acquired this, where I got it from, who I got it from, why I've got it, but it's just something that I carry. I do love cats though, which is, you know, explains why I've got two cats in my, crystal cats in my purse. And I have a piece of rose quartz as a reminder to myself to love myself and accept myself, and that, you know, I am me and I'm fine just the way I am. So, and to be fair, these go in my bag and I forget that I've got them, but I guess it's just, you know, the energy. I know they're in there, they're doing their job, but then I kind of forget that they're there. But that's how the best magic sort of works anyway. So yeah, those are just some of the little odds and ends that I carry. And then yeah, good old ALF, who keeps me company in the car. So please tell me if you have any charms, amulets and talismans. Tell me what you've got, what they do for you. Of course, only if you feel that this is, you know, you want to share. You don't have to share. But thank you. And thank you for all your comments recently. It's absolutely fantastic to get them, and I really, really appreciate them. And actually, there was a comment left on a video that I did respond to. Some of you might have seen the response, but I thought it would be really, really good to share. So on the video called Thoughts on Using Old Jars, Practical Magic, which is part of the Thoughts On series, so that's been taken from an episode of The Witching Week, and that was episode number 46. Somebody said, and thank you so much for this comment and for asking me what I thought. This was an excellent question and an excellent conversation starter. They said, "I used to believe in spells, but now feel that it's actually about the power of thought and belief that promotes manifestation. The spell just encourages that belief and isn't necessarily necessary if your thoughts are strong enough. I'd love to know what you think." So, to answer that, yes, I do believe that we can use just our minds to manifest things. I believe that we can do spells without tools. We can do something called working on the inner temple. I think that if we concentrate our brains and our thoughts hard enough and we do certain things, I definitely feel that we can influence things with our minds. I think that you have to have a fairly strong mind to do this. I think that you have to have an understanding of the natural laws of magic and how magic works, whether that's a conscious understanding, or you have just worked it out without even really realizing. I think you have to understand how manifestation works. And there are other things at play as well, like the law of attraction. I mean, this is a really big topic, and I think you could go down several routes for this. But yes, I absolutely think that you can do things with your mind. I'd also say, and this is a debate and a conversation that people have been having for many, many years, where does witchcraft start and psychology end, and vice versa? You could argue that a lot of witchcraft is just thinking a certain way, and then because you think a certain way, you're backing that up, you know, with other things. So, you know, for example, when you're more positive and you make an effort to be more positive, then people will respond to you more positively, and then that causes certain things to happen as well. So there was an article actually that I found only in the week which ties in nicely with this, and it's on the website Psychology Today, and the article is, does witchcraft hold the secret to happiness? So you might want to go and have a little read of that and think about that. But I do believe that we can set our minds to anything, but I think that a spell is a really good focus, especially for people that are new to magic and new to witchcraft. And then from there, what I will say is I disagree with the statement that it's all about the intention. People say this, it's all about the intention, it's all about the intention. Yes, it's really, really important to, one, have your magical goal, your magical aim in mind. Secondly, of course, it's very, very important to have a clear and concise goal so that there is no room for interpretation with the universe. So for example, you know, if we are thinking about money and we want to do a spell to attract money, we want to be very clear on that so that old Aunt Mabel doesn't die and then leave us all that money. We have to be very clear, we have to be very concise, we have to decide how we're going to do the mundane work and how we are going to do the symbolic magical work, and what the symbology of that magical work, how that looks and how that can be interpreted. But it's not all about the intention. It is your magical will and determination to, one, decide to do the spell, to dare to do the spell, to have the, you know, the knowledge to do it, to back it up and to carry out that spell, and to decide that, and this is where the magical will and determination really comes in, to decide that the outcome of that is going to be in your favour, and to have no other thoughts, you know, to think otherwise, which kind of plays into the whole manifestation thing. So yeah, I do think that we can achieve things just with our mind. I know that I can think of instances over the years where I have thought something into existence. I never intended to do that. So I think it's, one example of that is I used to spend a lot of time thinking and visualising and imagining. I was a great daydreamer, being in a townhouse, living in a beautiful townhouse. Now, I never actually thought with those thoughts, I'm going to make that happen, I want to do that. I just used to spend a lot of time picturing it and thinking, yeah, that would be good, that would be good. And then one day I ended up quite by accident living in one. That was the house that we lived in before here. So I also think it's really, really interesting that all the people that use the phrase, it's all about the intention, they will have a physical spell, and yet they seem to focus on an action of the mind. I think that's really, really interesting. I think spells are, yeah, they're a really good focus, and there are rules as well, which is why I believe that spells actually do work. So, for example, we have making sure that we work across all of the levels of reality. Now, that's a conversation for another day. Another video. This is the Witching Week, so we just touch on topics. You could go away and research the levels of reality. There is a really good section in the book Spells and How They Work by Janet and Stuart Farrar about the levels of reality and working with them. It's spells. There is also the need to release. So you do your spell, you release it out into the universe to do its thing, and then the next sort of step or rule, if you like, is to forget about it, to literally release it let it go and just completely forget. And that's a really important part of spell work. So though while I do kind of agree with this statement that one of you has made, thank you so much, in the comments, about the mental cognitive sort of workings and that we can achieve stuff using our mind, I absolutely agree with that. But actually, yeah, I do believe that spells work. All the spells that I have ever cast have worked, and there are steps for making sure that you have successful spell work. So for me, it's both. You can do both. I would be really interested to know if that person is watching this episode of the Witching Week, and if they see this and how they feel now that we've spoken about it. So yeah, what do you think? Are spells purely just a focus for our minds, or do you think that they are something we can use that will change or transform or stop or start or bend something? What do you think? I mean, obviously there are natural laws, there's a limit as to what we can achieve. You wouldn't believe the number of requests I get from people, usually from India. So obviously there's a cultural thing going on there, but not always. But overall, I get a huge amount of requests from people around the world asking me to change their eye colour, asking me to change their height, asking me to basically perform the impossible or direct them to, cause the impossible, change the impossible, do something that is impossible. And I have to explain that there are natural laws, magic works with natural laws, and there are natural laws to the universe. There are things we can and can't change. So yeah, we can't do the impossible, but we can make other things more possible, I guess, is where I'm going with this. So yeah, tell me, what do you think? Do you think it is only all about the mind? Do you think that spells are just an extra that actually we don't really need? I don't think there's any doubt that spells are a good focus. But what do you think? Do you think that spells don't work? Do you think they're superstitious? Maybe you're watching and you're not a witch or a pagan at all, and you've just happened to I can't get my words out today. You've happened across this video and you have just been intrigued. I'd love to know what you think. But the mind is incredibly powerful. We can achieve so much with the mind, and I think I'm probably quite a good example of that. Again, like, I'm trying to move off talking about my health, but it's such a big part of my life. And it, when you list the conditions that I have, so many people would have given up by now with just one or two of them. And I am just like, no, I'm going to use my magical will and determination to see me through, to remain positive. The mind is incredibly powerful. I don't fully go with the whole, you can think yourself well, and we've spoken about this, and we've spoken about this sort of like toxic positivity. Sometimes mechanically there are things that are just wrong. Sometimes things just fail out of bad luck. There isn't necessarily a reason for everything. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. It's the luck of the draw when we're born, what we get given. I don't think that we can cure ourselves by thinking. Not everything can be thought better, because trust me, I would have done that by now. But using your mind and training your mind and having certain thoughts and attitudes definitely does help. It can definitely help, and it can definitely give a completely different picture. So you can have two people in the same situation and it can be a completely different picture for each of those depending on how they think. But anyway, I think I've always been lucky with my spells and with manifesting things that I've been thinking about, because I spend a lot of time in my own head. I'm one of those people that has got an internal monologue. Apparently only about 30 to 50% of the population does, which absolutely blows my mind. So many people apparently don't have this like inner voice and don't have these conversations sort of with themselves. I find that really mind-blowing. And I've always been an excellent daydreamer as well. I'm a very visual person. So when I start thinking about something, I have visuals playing out in my mind. And I think that is really, really helpful if you're somebody who is, well, not trying to manifest something, because sometimes it just happens without realizing it, but it definitely helps. If you're somebody who performs magic, deals with magic, it's helpful to have that you know, being able to visualize something precisely and clearly. I haven't been so lucky with meditation. There is some sort of connection that has happened with my brain since I got poorly, where it's very hard to go deeply under and visualize in that sense. But in terms of just imagination and daydreaming, that's still very, very strong. So, and I think that has been responsible for a lot of things manifesting that I never actually even intended to set out to manifest. They were just lovely daydreams, lovely sort of like dalliances in my head. So yeah, absolutely great question. Thank you so much for asking that, and I hope you didn't mind us all exploring that. So the next topic, the last topic, I have got a little reading for you today as well, as we've just had Imbolc and we are at the beginning of February. I thought that would be really nice. But I've been on the wildhunt.org website just to have a little look to see if there's any recent pagan news and views. And there is an interesting article on there, and it's all about there being no dementia in ancient Greece and Rome. Now we know that Alzheimer's and other types of dementia and age-related dementia, we know that they are as a result of our lifestyle choices, and there is research to back that up. And now it looks like in literature from ancient Greece and Rome, it looks like there's very little suggestion of cognitive decline. So they seem to think that because of their lifestyle, what they ate, obviously things were very different then to what they are now. They seem to think there was very, very little in the way of Alzheimer's and dementia type disorders and diseases. So Alzheimer's and dementia, they are neurological conditions, disorders, and they are generally progressive and irreversible. And there has been a 19-year-old man in China who has recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he is the youngest person in the world. And we know that our health and what we eat, whether we exercise or not, whether we move or not. So when I say exercise, I don't want you all to think running. I don't want people to come at me, I've had that before, saying that I'm a fat shamer and I promote exercise diet. I don't. I promote being able to put what you can in your body that you can afford that's healthy. And of course, not everybody can afford a healthy diet. That is very much privilege, and not everybody can move. But even as someone with very, very chronic illness and a heart problem at the moment that's not being dealt with, I can still move. Yes, there's pain, yes, there's difficulty, but it's really, really important to move, because actually movement is like food for our brains. So when I went to the pain clinic many years ago, they basically told me to just avoid doing anything that gave me any kind of like discomfort at all. And I think this is where a lot of my own personal cognitive decline came for. And then watching some health videos and watching a doctor that I follow on YouTube. He's a holistic doctor, a functional doctor. He lives in America, he's Swedish, and he was an Olympic decathlete, and he understands the body very, very well on a more holistic and functional level than our doctors in the UK. And he came to teach me through his videos that no, you need movement, because that's what your body, your brain is processing. All those messages, messages across the synapses. You know, when you move your hand and your muscles and your nerves, there is this interaction going on between that and your brain. And the minute you stop moving and the minute you stop moving about, your brain is not doing as much work. So yes, it's really, really important to look after yourself if you can, in whatever way that you can manage. So, you know, recently I have been trying to go for little walks, even though it sets off my heart condition. and it makes me absolutely exhausted. I need my heart to function, and I have managed to drop a bit of weight as well, because that is all extra pressure on the heart, and also is extra work for the brain if I just move a little bit. And believe me, I really suffer, and you can't tell from one video in the week that I make, but it's really important that we try really hard to look after ourselves. And one of the reasons that we have been fasting, my husband and I, is that when you fast for periods, so I'll go like 24 hours here and there, I try and mix it up so that my brain and my body don't know what I'm up to. And I'll have an absolute feast at one point, which is not as big as I used to be able to manage because I can't eat as much now, but I'll have feast and then I'll put myself into famine. And what that does is it triggers something called autophagy. So it's like a recycled, or how do I explain this? It's a cellular recycling process. And what that does is, so as well as you start to sort of use the fat that you've stored in your body, hence why I've managed to lose weight, because I've done a bit of fasting, it also encourages your body and your brain to work as well as it can, and to work towards homeostasis, which is like balance in the body. So it's really good for the brain. So believe it or not, when you fast, you have much better, clearer thinking. Your cognitive and learning processes and memory and things like that actually improve. You can undo some of the damage. It's once you get to full-on dementia and Alzheimer's that it's irreversible, but we can make a difference. So the reason I've brought this up as a topic on the Witching Week is, one, obviously to sort of, talk about health and spread the message of health, but also it's just really interesting to link things back to ancient Greece and Rome. So much of our sort of like pagan poetry and stories and characters and archetypes come from that time. And so, yeah, there is limited reference in these ancient texts and bits of writing related to cognitive decline. So very interesting. Go and check it out. I could talk about this all day, as I'm sure you can probably tell. There's also an article on changes in Shinto festivals. Japan now allows women to participate, and in the headline there's something about men now have to be clothed. I haven't got around to reading that article. I'm going to do that later. And there's also one about fighting for the earth and not doing that alone, and that is a conversation with a lady called Andrea Kendall, who runs the Earth-Based Spirituality Action Team, Sabbats. So yeah, very good website. I do share it from time to time. I'll put the address down in the details. I'm just going to do a reading on Imbolc now, or one that's sort of, appropriate for Imbolc, and then we'll do some cards, because I feel like I have chatted for a very long time. So we are using A Year of Pagan Prayer, a source book of poems, hymns and invocations from 4,000 Years of Pagan History by Barbara Nolan. And we love this book here on the Witching Week. I love this book. It is so useful and it's just so beautiful. So, February. The origins of Imbolc, the pagan ancestor of the later holiday Candlemas, are still shrouded in mystery. Its name may be a reference to the fact that ewes are often pregnant at this time of year. The Irish phrase Imbolc means in the belly. Is sometimes cited as the likely etymology of the name, while surviving folk traditions strongly connected to Brigid or Bridget, the High One, the pan-Celtic goddess of poetry, fire and smiths, prophecy and healing. Regardless of its origin, it represents the year's first tentative steps towards the fertility of summer. Unfortunately, there are no surviving written texts, apart from a few inscriptions about the goddess Brigid, and there's little folk material about her that hasn't been entirely Christianised. This makes it a challenge to find historical matter for this holiday. Thankfully, new works are being written to honour Brigid in her divine, rather than saintly, incarnation, a trend that began with the Celtic revival in the 19th century. But since historical prayers in honour of Brigid are hard to come by, I've included some works in this section from other traditions, works which honour goddesses who share some of her traits. Because Bridget is the patroness of poets, I've added a selection of poems honouring the Muses, and because Bridget is associated with prophecy, a hymn to Themis as giver of oracles is included. A prayer to the Norse fertility god Freya rounds out the selection, as Freya presides over the awakening earth. Although they belong to disparate traditions, together these goddesses embody the idea of Imbolc, a brightening light amid the darkness. So I want to read to you Bridget of the Judgments by Nora Chesson, who lived from 1871 to 1906. So Nora Chesson was part of the 19th century Celtic revival, a renewal of interest in the Celtic heritage of Europe by artists and writers from historically Celtic-speaking regions and the Celtic diaspora. This extraordinary poem, published in 1906, extols Bridget as the goddess of all living things. The Lianan Sea, referred to in the poem, is the harsh fairy mistress of 19th century lore who vampirizes and destroys her mortal lovers, the opposite of Bridget. Okay. I am Bridget, wisdom, light, yea, I am bride. I loosen all the knots that wrong has tied. I knot all threads that should be woven in one. I am the giver of laws, all evil done is on my heart until I may unravel its web with heavy tears and bitter travail. My heart is coloured like the heather honey. My brows are cloudy and my eyes are sunny. Judgment I hold in one hand, the other pity. I am both maiden and a mother. I am the judgment giver, but I give compassion to all burdened things that live, struggle and pray, and so are preyed upon. Because the work girl's hollow cheeks are wan, mine are so pale, because the red ant dies. Under a careless foot, my deathless eyes are dark with dole, because the red fox went, snarling to death, the lilies have no scent. That are amid my breast knots tied to show, I am the mother of all that fade and grow. One man may call me wisdom who has heard some darkling midnight stabbed through with my word. One man will call me light who, ere he dies. I am no Lianan sea, I will not follow the soul that seeks me even in the hollow. Lands where the moon is not or any sun, no travail ended and no quest begun. I slay the man who called me law and strove to slay me, but one name of mine is love. So yeah, I don't know if that is pronounced Lianan, I hope so, but C, S-I-D-H-E. So yeah, so in Imbolc, we are there, the days are getting lighter and brighter and are a little bit warmer, at least here. I mean, obviously we could still have some harsh weather and we could still have some snow, but we're on the sort of the home straight now to spring equinox, which is what we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. I really love this part of year where things are picking up and there's all this hope and all this sort of waiting, I guess, for things to sort of pick up and get warmer and lighter and brighter, and all the potential and all the opportunity. I really love that, but I don't want it to go too fast now. You know, I do want it to get warmer, and we'll do that once we get to sort of like the end of April, beginning of May time, at least in this house. But then I just really want things to slow down, because then, you know, once we get to Beltane, the festival after that is Litha, isn't it? The summer solstice, and then, you know, things start drawing to a close again. Excuse me. It always does feel to me like the darker, colder part of the year is longer, and it's not. It's just that I think it just because of me, and it's cold in this house, and, you know, I get very cold. So it seems like, I think the winter probably starts for me sooner than most people, I think, you know, when we're in the autumn, although last autumn was very mild, wasn't it? So, but yeah, it feels like this period of light is very, very, very small, very short, because we start gathering light at the winter solstice, but we're still in that dark, cold part of the year. And I guess it does work the other way. I guess when it starts to get darker again, you know, when we've tipped the balance and we've gone from the longest day and the nights are drawing in, and you know, the hours of daylight are getting shorter, I suppose it still is warm, it still is light. So yeah, it balances itself out. But I'm just always really aware at this part of the year that, you know, I don't want it to go too quickly. I don't want it to go too quickly. These days are beautiful. Right, now I've wittered on for absolutely forever. It's time to do some cards for the week ahead. A little look at the energy of the week ahead, and some of the things that we might be faced with, and some of the ways that we could respond. Have you all had a good week? Let me know. I'd love to hear what you've been up to. I want to hear all about Imbolc. I want to hear if you managed something, if you didn't. I want to hear what your plans are for the lengthening hours of daylight. What is it you'd like to achieve in this next turn of the wheel? I would definitely like to make a bit more of the evenings. I get a bit sort of fed up of being cooped up throughout the winter. I mean, it's not like I can go walking for miles or do much anyway at the moment, but I would definitely like to make a bit more of the evenings. So that might even be just like sitting outside when it's warm enough to do that, or having a fire. I would like to pick up my sewing a little bit. It's just too dark. It's just too dark in the winter, and I'm too cold. I'm just sort of all bundled up under a blanket usually. So yeah, I'd like to break out the sewing. I've been making a quilt, as you know, and it's literally taken me years because there's very little amount of time in the light where I can do it. So yeah, tell me what your plans and your goals are for the coming weeks and months. Okay, so I actually picked out 5 cards today. I was drawn to do that. I'd love to know how you pick your cards when you are doing a reading, either for yourself or someone else. Do you always do it the same way? I find that I have sessions where I'll shuffle the cards and they'll actually flick out, they'll jump out, in which case I take those. When I'm shuffling I'll shuffle for a certain amount of time, and then I'll get the appreciation that the cards aren't going to jump out and I have to actually pick them. So what I'll do is I'll spread them out and then I'll run my hand over them, but I'm actually looking at the cards. Not any like details on them, and I've had these cards since I was 15 and they are such good quality that they're not damaged. There's no markings on them. So I'll look at the cards and they will tell me, they will say like me, pick me, and it's really strong. And I gaze my eye over the card and that will be like really in my face, so I have to pick that card. And then when I get to the point when that's not happening anymore, or I get the sense of, or the feeling of that, you know, I don't need to pick any more out, then we're done. So today we got 5, which is a lot, but there is obviously a big message here. So as per usual, I will keep it brief, I will keep it quick, because this isn't like an in-depth tarot reading for someone. This is just thoughts for you, for the community, for the coming week. So it's interesting that we've been talking about manifestation, because the first card that I picked out is the Magician, and obviously we were talking about magic and the mechanics of magic, so that's really interesting. We got Strength. I don't think we've seen that one since we've been doing the Witching Week, or not for a while. We've got the World, we've got the King of Pentacles, and we've got the Page of Swords. And what this is telling me is just that confirmation of what we were talking earlier about being manifestation powerhouses. You know, we have all the tools at our disposal, both consciously and unconsciously, to manifest our desires. So the Magician, he's got one arm pointing up into the sort of, you know, the upper realms, and then one towards the ground. So he's the keeper of conscious thought, but he's able to kind of have a foot in both worlds almost, and he's got all the tools on the table: the 4 suits, the pentacles, swords, the wands, and the chalices, the cups. And so he really gives you the message that you can manifest or achieve, or, you know, reach whatever goal that you want to. You have all the tools at your disposal. And also the number 1, I kind of think of as like being magical will and determination, which we've also spoken about today. We also have the Strength card, which just reaffirms that message really, and says that you have that quiet inner strength that, you know, it's like, this card reminds me of that phrase, you're stronger than you think, or you're stronger than you know. You quite often see people saying that to each other when they're going through a hard time. And it's true, we all have a raw strength and power that we can tap into, an inner power and inner strength that we can bring out whenever we need to. And this card as well also speaks to me of determination and grit. And quite often this card comes up in a reading if somebody has had a particularly long or hard or serious health struggle. It usually represents kind of coming out of that and away from that. So again, you know, these two cards go beautifully together, and they have the infinity symbol over both their heads, which is really, really interesting. So yeah, those have both come out today together, 1 and 2. And then we have the world. So there will be this sense of achievement. There will be this sense of you know, getting to somewhere with something that you've been working on for a very, very long time, completing it or getting near to completion, and feeling that sense of satisfaction and achievement. And no doubt that, you know, these traits and characteristics are what you will have had to have employed to be able to get there. I think that maybe, you know, if this message resonates with you, there might be some worries and some anxieties surrounding this. So like maybe you've been a bit too direct at times with your words and with your manner as you strive to achieve this goal. And also perhaps even you might even be worried that this has reflected on your ability to provide for other people and nurture. But this journey is all about providing and nurturing for other people. So there is no fear to be had there. And we all do what we do in the moment. You know, I truly believe that most humans are doing their best at all times. I think there's very few that aren't trying to achieve and, you know, aren't trying to do that for the good of other people. So I don't think you have to worry there. But yes, a definite sense of employing absolutely everything you've got to get something done and getting it done and feeling that sense of achievement. So absolutely lovely reading for the week ahead. It's not strict. I know I do a reading every Friday, but this might be a feeling or a situation you've been in for a while, and it might go beyond this. It's not going to resonate with everyone, but it might resonate with one person in particular, and if so, that's a message for you, and therefore it applies to your life. So yeah, no need to get too hung up on the fact that we do a reading every single week, because there are lots of people, different people that watch this, and there's going to be a message in there for someone. So let me know if you feel like that message was for you. I shuffle the cards and I make the really, really strong intention that this is a reading for the community. But I can't help but feel that the cards resonate with me quite a lot. And you even saw me reshuffle them. Was it last week or the week before? I'd shuffled them, I'd pulled them out, and I felt so strongly that the reading was for me that I redid it. But it's interesting. I really do feel like the messages really resonate with me sometimes. So I don't know if that's good or not. But lots of you tell me that it resonates with you as well. So that's good, because the reading is for you. But I'm a part of this YouTube community, so I think that's where it gets a bit complex, because I'm a part of this community, you know, so sometimes it's going to be for me. But anyway, I am wishing you a really, really lovely week. If you got all the way to the end, thank you so much. I just had some really good topics this week that were just too good not to talk about. So well done, thank you. And if you're new, again, welcome. And you made it this far, please subscribe. It really helps the channel. It helps me get shown to other people that are just like us. And yeah, it's a great sort of show of support. So thank you. I'm wishing you all a brilliant week. Yeah, I hope you have good weather and you get all the things done that you want to get done. And I'm sending you so much love, lots of love and blessings. See you next week.